When will I see my baby's first real smile? Can she actually see me clearly? When will she start to roll over? All these and 1,000 other burning questions are probably swirling around in your head as a new mum or mum-to-be. If you found yourself Googling these questions at 3 a.m, you're definitely not alone. Welcome back to my 4th Trimester Series and Episode 7. The world of newborn development is fascinating, and today I'm going to tackle the incredible journey your little one takes along their developmental milestones in those first 12 weeks of life. Physical and sensory development, sleep patterns, social skills, and so on. Of course, feeding is also a massive part of your baby's development. As I've already covered this topic in depth in the last video in this series, I won't cover that today, so check that episode out after this one if you haven't already. And if you stick around to the end of this video, I'll cover some important developmental red flags to be aware of. Knowing these can help you decide if and when you might need to check in with your doctor or paediatrician. Plus, I'll tell you about an amazing free resource I've created to support your baby's development journey. So what are developmental milestones? They're simply key skills or behaviours that most babies tend to develop around certain ages. Understanding these milestones isn't about ticking boxes or competing with other babies. Bear in mind that every baby is truly different. Some might be early bloomers in one area and take their time in another. That's perfectly normal. These milestones are more of a general roadmap than a strict schedule. Your baby will do things in their own time and their own way, and that's exactly as it should be. Let's start with physical development, the changes you can see actually happening before your eyes. First up, growth. Your baby is going to do a lot of it. In these first 12 weeks, most babies gain about 150 to 200 grams every 7 days or so. That's like adding a small apple to their weight every week. So please don't stock up on too many tiny newborn baby grows. They'll also grow about 2.5 to 3.8 centimetres in length each month, and their head circumference grows too, usually around 2 centimetres a month. All this growth is fueling their rapidly developing brain. Now on to motor skills. Remember that wobbly little newborn you brought home? Well, get ready to see some changes. Around 1 to 2 months, you'll notice your baby starting to lift their head briefly. By 3 months, many babies can hold their head up for short periods when supported at the chest. I like to think they're trying to check out their surroundings a little bit more. Rolling over is another biggie. Some babies might start rolling around 3 to 4 months, but don't worry if your little one takes longer. They're building up the strength for it every day. Some just don't. My first went straight to crawling. Then there's the grasp reflex. From birth, if you put your finger in your baby's palm, they'll grip it tightly. It's automatic at first, but by 3 months, they're starting to open their hands a bit more and might even bat at some toys. Speaking of reflexes, ever seen your baby startle suddenly and throw their arms out? That's the Moro reflex. It's completely normal in the early weeks. Now let's talk tummy time. I know, a lot of babies aren't fans at first, but it's a great way of developing those neck and upper body muscles. Start with short sessions, maybe 1 to 2 minutes a few times a day. This can be done within a few days of birth. You can lie down and do it chest to chest with your baby, or use a roll towel under the chest for support. Your baby's sensory development is just as fascinating as their physical development. Let's start with vision. Your newborn's eyesight is a bit blurry at first. Think of it as nature's way of not overwhelming them straight away. At birth, they can only see about 20 to 30 centimetres away, which, coincidentally, is about the distance to your face when you're holding them. But by 1 month, they'll start to focus on your face for longer periods. Around 2 months, they might follow objects around with their eyes. And 3 months, they're becoming a little visual explorers, able to recognise familiar faces and objects. Now, hearing is a different story. Your baby's been listening to your voice and probably your favourite music while in the womb. So when they're born, their hearing is actually pretty well developed. They'll startle at loud noises and turn towards familiar voices. Touch and smell are incredibly important senses for your newborn. They're how your baby gets to know you and their environment. That's why skin-to-skin contact is so beneficial. It helps regulate their temperature, heart rate, and even supports baby brain development. Have a look back in episode 5 of this series and learn a bit more about this. As for smell, your baby can recognise your scent from very early on. It's one of the ways they know who their mum is. So don't worry too much about that shower you didn't have time for. Your natural scent is actually quite comforting to your baby. All these sensory experiences are new for your little one. Sometimes they might get overwhelmed, and that's okay. Watch for cues they might need a break, like turning away or becoming fussy. Sleep. Remember that? Well, initially your newborn's sleep patterns are similar to that of when they were in your womb. They continue to sleep a lot. We're talking about 14 to 17 hours a day, but it's broken up into short bursts of 2 to 3 hours. Why? Well, their tiny tummies need frequent refills and their sleep cycles are different from ours. In the first few months, babies tend to spend about half their time in REM, active sleep. You might notice their eyes moving under their eyelids, maybe even twitching or a little smile. The other half is spent in non-REM, which is quiet sleep. This pattern is actually helping their rapidly growing brains process all the new information they're soaking up. When it comes to sleep routines in the early weeks, it's less about strict schedules and more about creating a calm, consistent environment. A simple bedtime routine, maybe a warm bath, a gentle massage, a feed, and a lullaby, can help signal to your baby that it's time to wind down. Sleep training isn't suitable at this age. Put that off for a good few weeks and focus on the routine of bedtime rather than the timing of bedtime. As a former paramedic, I'm a bit of a nerd about safe sleep, especially with tiny babies. Take a look at my video here about the safe sleep checklist. And here's a tip. Try to put your baby down when they're drowsy but still awake. It helps them learn how to fall asleep all on their own. But don't beat yourself up if it doesn't always work. We've all been there. And by the way, your baby's sleep patterns will change as they grow. Just when you think you've got it figured out, they'll throw a curveball, like the 4-month sleep regression. But that's for another video. Okay, time to discuss your baby's social development. In the early weeks, crying is your baby's main form of communication. And let me tell you, they've got quite the vocabulary. You might hear different cries for hunger, tiredness, or discomfort, or just wanting a cuddle. And don't worry if you can't tell the difference right away. It takes time to learn your baby's unique language. Undoubtedly, one of the best early milestones is the first real smile. It's what we're all waiting for, isn't it? This usually happens around 6 to 8 weeks. Your baby demonstrating that they know and love you makes it all worthwhile. Around the same time, you might hear some little cooing sounds. These are your baby's first attempts at conversation. Go ahead and chat back. Your baby loves the sound of your voice, even if they don't understand the words yet. By 3 months, many babies are social butterflies. They might smile spontaneously, especially at faces, and even try to imitate some of your expressions. It's very cute, so get your camera ready. Everyone stresses the importance of parent-child interaction. Each time you respond to your baby's cries, smile back at them, or chat to them as you go about your day, you're laying the groundwork for their social and emotional development. You're teaching them that the world is a responsive, caring place. But don't feel like you've got to entertain your baby 24/7 though. Sometimes they just need some quiet time to process all the new things they're learning. Watch out for cues they're getting overwhelmed, like turning away or becoming fussy. So I've talked a lot about normal developmental milestones, but what if your baby isn't hitting them on target? First off, remember that normal covers a wide range. Every baby is unique and will develop at their own pace. That said, there are some general guidelines and a few red flags to watch out for. By 3 months, most babies can raise their head and chest when on their tummy, open and shut their hands, bring their hands to their mouth, recognize familiar faces, smile in response to your smile, coo and make gurgling sounds. Now don't panic if your baby isn't doing all of these things. Development isn't a race, and some babies might excel in one area while taking their time in another. However, there are some signs that might warrant a chat with your paediatrician if they aren't reached at 3 months. These include not responding to loud sounds, not following or moving objects with their eyes, not smiling at people, not grasping and holding objects, not supporting their head well, and not making vowel sounds like ah, eh, or. It's also worth checking if your baby seems overly floppy or stiff, or if they're not feeding well. You know your baby best. If something doesn't feel right, even if it's not on the list, trust your instincts and speak to your healthcare provider. They're here to help, not judge. And here's an important point. Don't compare your baby to others, even siblings. Each child is on their own unique journey. What matters most is that they're making progress, even if it's at their own pace. Both my babies started smiling, crawling, and speaking at different ages, and there's nothing wrong with them. They don't know the schedule. They just did their own thing when they were ready. There are plenty of ways you can support your baby's development. I've created something special just for you. It's called Baby Steps, and it's absolutely free. Baby Steps is a comprehensive 39-page guide that I've put together based on my experience as a mum and parenting coach. It breaks down development month by month for the first year, and then year by year from ages 1 to 3, with activities to promote your little one's development at each stage. You can download it for free right now. Just click the link in the description below. The next episode in this 4th trimester series is all about your partner's role during this time. There's so much partners can do during this period to support mum and baby, but they also provide the stable backbone of a successful and happy family life. So if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications to make sure you don't miss that video, and I'll see you there.